The studio lights shimmered over the set of the Kelly Clarkson show, their golden glow bouncing off the glossy white floors and bright pastel backdrops. The audience was buzzing with excitement. Trevor Noah, the sharp-witted comedian and former Daily Show host, was Kelly's special guest for the day. It was supposed to be a fun, easygoing interview filled with laughter and charm. But from the moment Trevor walked on stage, there was an undercurrent, something just slightly off. Kelly greeted him with her trademark warmth, her smile as genuine as ever. "Trevor Noah, everybody," she cheered, and the crowd erupted. Trevor waved, thanked the audience, and took a seat opposite Kelly, crossing his legs with a casual confidence. They exchanged a few jokes about travel and his latest comedy tour, and for the first few minutes, it was exactly the lighthearted segment everyone expected. But then Kelly, ever curious and unafraid to dig deeper, steered the conversation toward Trevor's recent comments about the entertainment industry. "So, Trevor," she began, "you've talked a lot about how TV hosts and comedians have to balance truth and entertainment. You even said in an interview last month that some shows pretend to be honest while playing it safe. What did you mean by that?" Trevor chuckled softly, glancing toward the audience before responding. "Well, I think a lot of shows, late night, daytime, whatever, are trapped in this cycle of trying to please everyone. People want authenticity, but networks want ratings. So, you end up with something that feels real but isn't always real, you know." Kelly nodded, her smile faintly strained. "I get what you're saying. But don't you think shows like this, where we talk about real life and emotions, count as authentic?" Trevor leaned forward slightly, his tone thoughtful but edged. "Sure, but even that gets curated. Producers decide what's comfortable to talk about. Viewers get only what won't make them switch the channel." The air thickened. The audience's laughter faltered, uncertain whether this was still friendly banter or something deeper. Kelly tilted her head, her southern charm cooling into a polite firmness. "So you're saying that I'm not being authentic right now?" Trevor's eyebrows lifted. "No, not you personally," he said quickly. "I'm talking about the system, the way talk shows work. They create an illusion of connection, but it's still show business." Kelly's tone sharpened just slightly. "I built this show on real conversations, Trevor. I share my stories, my struggles, and my joy because I want people to feel seen. That doesn't sound like illusion to me." The audience clapped softly in support, but Trevor didn't back down. "And I respect that," he said. "But even real feelings can become performance when there's a camera and an audience. You can't ignore that." The tension rippled across the stage. Kelly shifted in her chair, crossing her legs as her cheerful expression stiffened. "I think what makes a show like this special is that we try to focus on positivity. We're not here to tear things down, we lift people up." Trevor gave a small, almost sad smile. "But positivity can't replace honesty. Sometimes real life isn't comfortable. If everything has to end with a laugh or a song, people stop believing it." Kelly's eyes narrowed, the light in her voice dimming. "I don't think it's about pretending, Trevor. It's about giving people hope. Not everyone wants to drown in the world's problems before lunch." The audience murmured, sensing the temperature drop. Trevor looked down for a moment, then back up at her. "Maybe, but when people only want hope without truth, that's not hope, it's distraction." The words hung in the air like a challenge. Kelly tried to move the segment forward, but Trevor's bluntness had shifted the entire mood. What had started as a friendly interview now felt like a live debate about the soul of modern television. "So," Kelly said, her smile tight, "you think all of us sitting here, talking about life and joy and family, we're just distracting people?" Trevor exhaled slowly. "I think you're trying to help. But sometimes good intentions can still miss the point." There was an uneasy silence. Cameras zoomed in, capturing the flicker of irritation in Kelly's eyes. She forced a laugh, trying to break the tension. "Well, maybe next time we'll talk about puppies and sunshine instead." Trevor smirked faintly. "That's probably safer." The audience gasped softly. Kelly leaned forward, her tone flat. "You think I play it safe?" Trevor hesitated, then nodded slightly. "Sometimes. We all do." That was the breaking point. Kelly sat back, crossing her arms. "Well, I'd rather be safe and kind than reckless and rude," she said, her voice calm but icy. Trevor blinked, realizing the line had been crossed. "Kelly, I wasn't calling you rude." But she was already shaking her head. "You know what, Trevor? Maybe this isn't the right space for that kind of talk. We try to make people feel good here." Trevor looked at her, frustration flickering behind his composure. Then maybe this isn't the right space for truth, either. The audience gasped audibly this time. Trevor stood up, pulling off his microphone. Kelly called after him, "Trevor, don't do that, come on," but he was already walking toward the exit. The cameras caught him from behind as he disappeared off stage, leaving Kelly sitting there, visibly stunned yet forcing a polite smile as the show's band began to play. The applause sign flashed, but hardly anyone clapped. The moment Trevor Noah walked off the stage of the Kelly Clarkson show, chaos rippled through the studio. Producers exchanged frantic glances, the camera operators froze, and Kelly sat there for several seconds, the smile still on her face though her eyes were visibly shaken. The music played awkwardly as the show cut to an impromptu commercial break. Behind the scenes, assistants rushed to the wings, whispering into their headsets, unsure whether Trevor was coming back or if they had just lost one of their biggest guests of the season. When the cameras went dark, Kelly exhaled sharply, her hands trembling just enough for her to clasp them together on her lap. "What was that?" she murmured to one of the producers who approached her, trying to appear calm. "He just walked off." Backstage, Trevor was pacing the hallway, still holding his mic pack in his hand, his jaw clenched tight. "I shouldn't have said that," he muttered to himself, though his tone carried equal parts frustration and disbelief. "Every time you try to talk honestly, it turns into a spectacle." A crew member tried to intervene, saying softly, "Mr. Noah, we can take you to the green room if you'd like to cool off." But Trevor waved him off, walking toward the exit before stopping halfway, conflicted. Kelly, meanwhile, was being briefed by her producers on how to handle the return from the break. One suggested she brush it off with humor, another advised her to express empathy and move on. Kelly listened quietly before shaking her head. "No," she said finally. "I'm not pretending like that didn't just happen. The audience saw it, the world's going to see it. I'll handle it my way." When the cameras came back on, Kelly sat poised but noticeably more serious. "Well," she said with a forced smile, "that's a first. Trevor Noah just walked off my show. Sometimes honest conversations get heated, and that's okay. We're all human, right?" The audience gave a tentative cheer, unsure if they were allowed to laugh. Kelly's professionalism shone through, but behind her eyes was something more, hurt. She had always prided herself on creating a warm space for guests, a place where vulnerability was celebrated. To have a guest storm off felt like a personal blow. After the show wrapped, Kelly changed out of her bright outfit and went backstage. She wasn't angry, at least not outwardly, but she needed to understand what had gone so wrong. She found Trevor standing by the exit doors, shoulders tense, phone in hand. For a moment, she considered walking past him, but that wasn't who she was. "Hey," she said softly. Trevor turned, surprised to see her. "You didn't have to leave like that." Trevor sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I know, I just felt cornered." It stopped feeling like a conversation and started feeling like a defense. Kelly's voice was calm but firm. "It wasn't about cornering you, Trevor. You said some things that hit hard. You talked about authenticity like I'm some kind of fraud. That stings." "I wasn't calling you fake," he said, frustration giving way to sincerity. "I was talking about the environment, not you. But when you challenged me on it, I reacted. I should have explained better." Kelly crossed her arms, her expression softening. "Look, I get it. You're passionate about truth. I respect that, but not everything has to be an argument to be meaningful. You could have just said your piece and stayed seated." Trevor nodded slowly, his gaze lowering. "You're right, I overreacted. I'm just tired of pretending, on every show, every interview, that everything's perfect. But I didn't mean to take that out on you." There was a pause, long enough for the hum of studio lights to fill the silence. Then Kelly smiled faintly. "You know what, maybe this is the most authentic thing that's happened on this show in a while." Trevor let out a quiet laugh. "Guess I made your episode unforgettable." "Oh, it's unforgettable, all right," Kelly said, half teasing. "Twitter's probably melting down already." And she wasn't wrong. By the time Trevor left the building, clips of the confrontation were spreading across social media like wildfire. Hashtags like #Trevor Noah walks off, #Kelly vs Trevor, and #authenticity debate began trending within an hour. Fans were fiercely divided. Some applauded Trevor for standing his ground, others accused him of being disrespectful to a gracious host. Kelly's supporters rallied behind her message of kindness and professionalism, praising her for handling the situation with grace. That evening, Kelly addressed the moment subtly in an Instagram post. She uploaded a simple black and white photo of herself on the set with the caption, "Sometimes real conversations get uncomfortable. That's life. No hard feelings, just learning." Trevor posted soon after on X, formerly Twitter, "Honesty isn't always smooth. But I'll always choose real over rehearsed." The posts only fueled the debate further. Entertainment sites dissected every second of the interview. Media analysts called it a cultural clash between optimism and realism, and fans flooded both stars' comment sections with opinions. But away from the public noise, both Kelly and Trevor had quietly exchanged messages that night. Kelly wrote, "No bad blood. Maybe we both needed that talk." Trevor replied simply, "Respect, Kelly. You're realer than most." By the end of the week, the incident had become less about a clash and more about a conversation. The following Monday, Kelly even referenced it during her opening monologue. "Sometimes," she told her viewers with a smile, "you gotta walk through a little awkwardness to find something honest." The audience cheered, and in that moment, the tension from that fateful day transformed into something more powerful. Connection. Trevor Noah may have walked off the Kelly Clarkson show, but he walked straight into the cultural conversation he'd been trying to spark all along.